All right, adding a negative number. So if I'm adding a negative, I have two of them right next to each other, then I'm subtracting, and I'm subtracting. Subtracting a negative, two polarities right next to each other, they cancel out and make a positive. Okay, so this is the opposite of that one. That's how I teach that. Adding two negatives. So this can look like this, and I have these two polarities here, so this would be minus, so this would be this. Okay, this one I have two polarities here, this would be minus. Okay, and this is also two polarities. It can look like any of these. Okay, but they're both mean, all of these are adding two negative numbers. They each mean to add two negative numbers. Think of it as debt. If I owe you 6 and I owe you 2, how much do I owe you? I owe you 8 altogether. Add the two numbers to see how far into the negative you're going to go. So that really, all of these evaluate to a negative that's added. Okay, so I owe you 6, I owe you 2. That's how I tell them that. As long as there's not, so evaluate these, and this is where I would want to get to. I owe you 6 and I owe you 2. You want to get it so that it's only got 1, okay? All right? Starting with a negative can be more difficult, right? So this one, if I have negative 2 plus 6, and I always think of these as like I'm starting with 0. So this is 0 plus 6 plus 2. That would be 8. Okay, this one would be 6, 0 plus 6 minus 2. That would be 4, which those are pretty easy. But this one, if I had 0 minus 6 minus 2, I'm going that direction. I'm going to the left. I'm going into the negative 2 times. This one is different. This one I have negative 2. I'm starting at negative 2 and I'm adding 6. So if I'm at negative 2, okay, if I'm at negative 2, this is where I start. This is the direction I go. I'm going to go to the positive 6 spaces. But here's what I tell them in their head, it's not always as easy, because from negative 2, how do I get back to 0? I had to add 2. Well, then how many more do I have to add to get to the number? Add 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now you're going into the positive and you just count how many to add to get to what you're looking for. Okay, so I hope that helps. The other part is people mix up the adding and subtracting rules and the division and multiplication rules. They'll be like, oh, 2 negatives make a, don't think about that. Minus a negative is what I call this. Okay, this is adding a negative. This is subtracting a negative. This down here is different. The multiplication rules are easy. And so when you're adding and subtracting fractions, like when you're adding and subtracting when you're first learning, that's the easy one. And then when you multiply and divide, that's the hard one. Well, then it switches when you're in fractions and negative numbers, and fractions and negative numbers. Fractions, multiplying fractions and adding fractions, or multiplying fractions and dividing fractions is easy. It's the adding and subtracting that gets hard, because then you have to make the bottom numbers equivalent. But when you're doing negative numbers, the multiplying and dividing is easy. If I have 2 negatives and they're the same, it's a positive. If it's 2 positives, it's a positive. If they're the same, then they're positive. If they're different, so a negative and a positive and a negative, if they're different, it's a negative. So this is what they should memorize for multiplying and dividing. Adding and subtracting is all of this. So don't let them, like, they'll try to get stuck in this down here to add and subtract. Remember that this is a double polarity, okay? This is completely different. This is definitely just thinking about the number line, okay?